Welcome. In this video I'm going to take a look back on my Wild Mayo 650 experience. But just before I get into some of the video highlights, to talk about the event itself. So it's a 650 kilometer cycle around the perimeter of Mayo, and it takes in every climb, every mountain and hill that the perimeter can provide, which is pretty much all of the mountains and hills in Mayo. So 650 kilometers. When I signed up and said, okay, I'm going to break down. This is the first time I've signed up or tried to participate in an event like this. It's a solo event, and I just want to put a plan together. So my goals was try and complete the challenge in about 30 hours. It felt for me that would be a good starting point, a respectable time. This is a supported event, so I had to put a good team together, two individuals. To get to that 30 hours, I wanted to average around 27 to give myself plenty of buffer in there should anything go wrong. And instead of looking at this as a 650 kilometer cycle, which would, to be honest, in my case, wreck my head, I broke it up into segments. So my first segment was, okay, starting in Westport, I'd have to go over 4 or 5 climbs through Patry and get through Ballinrobe. Although after Ballinrobe it's fairly flat, but my first point that I picked was Ballandine. Get to Ballandine because it was close to home. It was about 160 kilometers in, so I felt if I could get to Ballandine in reasonable shape, I was in a good place. I was getting through the challenge. So I didn't think about anything beyond Ballandine from once I started. I felt I just had to get there and look forward to a break in Ballandine. Although I did stop as well. One of my other scheduled stops was Leanon. My next point that I picked was to get from Ballandine to Ballina. Fairly flat, couple of little climbs here and there, but fairly flat. It would bring me near the halfway point. So it was significant for me. And Ballina was also significant because based on some timing, so I worked out every hour where I would be in factor and breaks. Ballina would be the last point where we'd get shops and stuff open. So we needed to make sure we're ready for the night at Ballina. So another break, another stop. I picked that as a point. So, and also there's lots of places to stop in Ballina, like garages and stuff. So that became another point. The next point I picked was to get over along the coastline, and the coast is also significant for me because once I got towards Killala, then I'd start to see the sea, and that sea would be with me all the ways around to the finish line. So in a way, not only you're halfway, but you're at the coast. And you've kind of broken the back of the challenge. You have a long way to go, but that sea is going to be with you. And the cooling factor, and there's so many, there's so many nice things about seeing that sea on the right hand side. Then got me over to Belmullet. I knew I'd hit Belmullet in the dead of night. One of the funniest moments came at Belmullet because I was there about 1:30 in the morning, something like that. And I met there were some revelers, one lad going up the street with a big massive plastic ice cream cone that he'd robbed somewhere. It gave me quite a giggle. Not that I'm condoning robbing ice cream cones, but certainly was a funny sight. Got into black sod, it was pitch dark, got out of black sod. Actually, in the challenge itself, for most of the journey I was struggling with because of heat and trying to eat. An interesting one in black sod, I was starving no matter how much food I put in, no energy. And then one of my John the support said to me, well, why not have a gel? So I had a gel and it actually transformed me. So the challenge like this is, bring food, but stuff like gels as well if you can take them. It's amazing it could turn you around at a certain point. Anyways, get out of Belmullet. My next point was, let's get to Achill, because the Achill segment was tough. It's only like 79 kilometers, but it's a hell of a lot of climbing. I don't know, 1,500 meters or something. And of course, you got Minnon in the middle. So it also is significant as well I knew it'd be the new day. Dawn would be breaking. So I knew that, get out of the night and what you had to look forward to, and yeah, you had to say look forward to, not dread, but look forward to getting to Achill and the beautiful scenery and the lovely Atlantic Drive, and not worry too much about the fact that it's full of climbing. But so get to Achill on that new day, and of course Menon. The Menon was in my mind for a fair chunk of the cycle, but at the end of the day, it's half an hour, climb, and when I actually got there, it wasn't too bad at all. So, no big deal. And then, okay, you have the homeward journey. Nothing insignificant about that, but you're on your way home from Achill. So that's the way I broke it down. I mean, everybody may be different on this. I do think at the distance you do have to break it down and figure out where you're going to be and aim towards those points. But that's my approach. But let's take a look at some of the videos. So this is the start. We did a quick interview, and obviously I was a bit nervous. But the main thing I was thinking about was the navigation around Westport. You had to go up the street, go left, and roundabout and right, and then you had to go left, then down, and obviously don't get lost. Don't get lost in the first, or go wrong in the first kilometre. And that's kind of what I was thinking about. Just get out of the town, get up and running. Let the challenge begin. So some footage now from the route itself. Beautiful sky, although it was warm. We're going up Mweelrea here. We're into the, could be 130 kilometers in or so, maybe less. The car here it's an Audi diesel automatic, and I think automatic had an advantage in this. Certainly for the driver. You can see here the second we look back, the two bikes on the back, two spare bikes. See them now, beautiful scenery there, Loch Nafoy. I brought a gravel bike specifically for Achill Island, and I brought a TT bike. Now I had plans to use that. There was certainly conditions and places it was suitable for a time trial bike, but I never got myself into a place where I wanted to use it. Sheep here as well. They were part of the route pretty much all around. Here I go climbing up. If you know this hill, you know that at the top there's a pole with a transformer, which is the top, and I probably can see I'm getting close to it. Another significant thing here, just up the road, is there was some lads, cyclists, stopped, and they gave me a bit of a cheer, and I cannot underestimate how important that was in places where somebody would just be at the side of the road and clap or shout your name. It's, if you ever see somebody out doing an event, it's amazing how just, a clap or just being there can lift their spirits. You just don't know what they're going through at the time. They could be going through a very low point, and just somebody there to, clap or cheer on, it can lift your spirits. So here they are here, they give me a bit of a shout, and it's actually I'm very, very near the top here at the moment. Climbing, this day I'm fine. Taking on a bottle of fluids every hour with an electrolyte tablet. I think it was limited line flavor. Worked throughout the event. Never an issue, getting that into me. And so here we go. We're near the top. More sheep. So not far up the road, we're now climbing Lally's Mountain. And reading in the event, I never knew where the name came from. Turns out that the actor Mick Nally used to live at the foot of this hill, and it's been called Lally's Mountain since. It's I think possibly the second climb or hardest climb in the event, if I get my elevation correct. I've been up here many times, so knew exactly what was coming, and it was fine. It's about 2 o'clock in the day, and you can tell from that road, that black tar, it was getting unbelievably hot. I think at this point as well, I was starting, there was hints of possible feeding issues. I stopped just, I suppose, back the road a bit, then, and while I was hungry, I was sort of struggling a bit. I did eat. I had a wrap, and I'm not sure what else, but yeah, it was just a bit of a struggle. This, of course, was one of my significant points. I knew once I got to the top of this hill and into Ballinroben over towards Kong on that I would be heading towards a lot of flat ground. So this is really the last big climb until maybe later in the evening. It's also, if you ever come this way in a cycle, going this way up, it's this is the hardest way up. But then you have a very dodgy descent, so always be careful here. I think you saw the background there, beautiful scenery. You can see that in the dashboard there, the lads, the stuff on the dashboard. One thing we didn't bring was a clipboard, and in my list of recommendations, you certainly should bring a clipboard, because all the documentation and sheets and stuff, they were flying around the place and were left on the dashboard, and next thing they'd be all over the floor. So there's a few things we learned at this event about the basic equipment you need and stuff you don't need. So where am I here now? I'm more than halfway, about 2/3 the way up here. This is, it's a hard spot here. You can start to see the top, but you're a long way off. You're about, let me see, you're about 1 kilometer from the top here. And I was getting absolutely baked. This is when the day got really, really hot. So we've moved forward, we're gone past Van Robe, I think, at this point. Or it's over that part of the world. I want to show you this piece here. So if you look at that road, I obviously have to stay on the left, but I'm kind of struggling where to go, because the car tracks, they're sort of melted. Now they're smooth, but melted. If I go in the center of my lane, there's a lot of chips and bits of glass and bits of wire, and chances of getting a puncture if you go in the center of that lane are higher, so I didn't want to be getting punctures either. So I'm sort of, in this case, I'm sticking to the, to the car track. But the dilemma here was it's melted, so I'm really struggling here. I'm really hot. This was particularly tough. This is peak temperatures right now. It's flat. You can see here it's pretty flat, but I can tell by the speed here. I am just, look at that, freewheeling. And look at this here. This is just to give you a sense of how bad the roads were with the heat. So look at that shine. That's not moisture. That's just tar, which is boiling. And lads here just helped me through the junction. Here I come. I have one melted road onto another, but yeah, just supposed to give you, I suppose that shot there, that really goes to show how hot those roads were. Move on into the evening. We're up near, actually north of Ballina. I can see the sea in the distance, so very significant. This is halfway. Gone through a lot of places. One of the funniest memories of the event occurred just back the road in Kelmo, just north of it. Two guys in sombreros. I probably know them, but just because of the hats and stuff, I didn't recognize them. But one of them had a Dyson Hoover, and he was out in the road, kind of cleaning the road for me before I passed. I thought it was hilarious. This is the moments like that they really a huge distraction, and it was a very much a lasting memory. I got my high vis on at this point. I got all my lights on. They were a requirement for the event. I think 7 p.m. you had to get your high vis on. It's near halfway. Still a little bit hot, but it's the temperatures have come down quite a bit. So I think at this point I was in a good place, because halfway. Although right now I think try to eat was a problem. I felt hungry on the bike. You'd stop, you'd try and eat, and nothing would go in. I found myself that the only option was really fresh or stuff with no processed food. Absolutely no way. Fresh, like fruit and that, and yogurts and smoothies were fine.
Oh no, with the lights, yeah.
So more footage from around North Mayo. May I ask where are the fellow competitors in this. Well, up the road from me was Paul Cadwell, so he got off to a blazing start, and I hadn't seen him all day. He was well ahead. And then Rachel Nolan, she was ahead of me. I don't think a huge amount at this point. She had caught me in Lewisburg, and then we kind of went through the mountains together. We were very close, going up the climbs and that. But at the food stop in Annan, she got started quicker, and she went up the road. I actually preferred that. This is my first ultra event like this, solo ultra event. So I wanted to do my pace. I didn't want to get involved in racing. I didn't want to chase anyone down. I was happy just doing my thing. So the fact there's nobody around actually suited me. So continue on here. Just on the bikes as well, I obviously serviced my bikes before the event. The road bike, I replaced the gear cables. I actually had to replace the wheels as well. I busted my rear wheel coming off Minot a few weeks previous. I had a lot of saddle problems. I was on a brand new saddle on this bike, which I suppose is not ideal because I broke 2 saddles in the previous couple of weeks as well. So I had some mechanical problems coming into this. Here we're now starting to get into real darkness. On my bike, you can see the rear, it's a Garmin light. The radar function is fantastic, not in this, but I really do like that light. At the front, I had a good quality light, no cheap thing, good quality light, and it came with a separate 20,000 milliamp hour battery, so I had plenty of juice for that light, and the fact that the headlights around the car illuminated the road as well. What you can see here is a lot of fog at this point was creeping in, sea fog, and the car lights would cast a shadow in front of me, so I would see a 20-meter high version of me up the road, this big shadow, sometimes 2 of them. It was an incredible sight, a bit spooky, this kind of massive cyclist up the road from you. I asked the lads, they said no, we didn't see anything like that, so it was just me that was experiencing all these weird shadows up the road. So yeah, we're motoring along here, getting towards Belmullet. Just to give you a sense for the middle of the night, this is Black Sod Lighthouse, about 2:20 a.m. in the morning. That's the sea, kind of hard to see, but beautifully calm. A lovely moon, a harvest moon. So quiet, nobody around. Just actually fantastic, beautiful place. So the sky's brightened up here. We're about 6 a.m. in the morning, just before. You can see the moon in the distance. This is a kind of if you do 24-hour cycle, for me anyways, this is a kind of a magical couple of hours. It's the new dawn. You can see, look at there, and absolutely beautiful. It is quiet. Okay, it was cool in spots, especially when you went into the fog. But it's a new day, and there's so much to look forward to during the day. It seems crazy, but that's the mindset you gotta have here. You can't, if you come into the new day saying I'm absolutely goosed and I'm gonna struggle, then that's no good. I actually was really looking forward to the day, really looking forward to getting to Achill at this point. So fluid intake had dropped quite significantly, to a point actually where I maybe should have been taking on more, because up the road here in Mweelrea got a nasty cramp coming up. There's a little climb into the town. Got that sorted pretty quick. The roads here are nice. Ideally I should have had a TT bike out, but I just couldn't get my head into a place to do that. I was thinking I didn't want to hurt the body for Achill later that morning, so going along here at a nice speed. I suppose my head was in a good place the morning. I think we look at the speedometer in the car shortly, and yeah, I'm motoring here, and I think as well there was a slight tailwind, so everything was in my favour at this point in time. Rolling along here. Let's see what speed I'm doing. 45 kilometers an hour. So yeah, rolling along nicely. If only could hold speeds like that for the entire event. Certainly get around many hours less. But yeah, this is a nice part of the day. So looking at that fog, it was spectacular. I just, words can't describe it. The video does not bring across how beautiful it was. Those fogs, that kind of light coating of fog. My head was just going right to left. I just couldn't take it. It was beautiful. And here's our support. It's not just me that was feeling a bit more well upbeat. The lads having the breakfast here. Right. So new day also, you know, it lifts the spirits of the support team as well. And in a way you can, I suppose you're getting close to the end, so one can't help but smile. So move on. I think it's about 7 a.m. in the morning. I'm going around Coran. This is one of my favourite stretches of road in the west of Ireland. The views, the scenery here is, I'll overuse the word, but spectacular. There you can see Crowpatrick over near Westport. Sea was beautiful, like a sheet of glass. There's the sun coming up in the east. I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. If there's an event in the west of Ireland and it involves being on the road at this hour, go for it. It is spectacular. One thing I did mention actually back, the road there was just around mechanicals and breakdowns. I only had one up around the cage fields. I had an issue with gears, so as I mentioned, I put new gear cables on, and I'd done only about 120 kilometers, so they weren't really bedded in. But up around the cage fields, I was on a small ring at the front, and I couldn't get on the bigger ring. So we just had to stop for a few minutes and we just tightened up the cable and I was back up and running. And that's the only mechanical issue I had. But I did double check and I serviced bikes beforehand. I think it's important. Last thing you want are mechanical breakdowns. They're disruption, and I suppose if you start having too many, you start getting into your head. So cycle along here. Obviously you won't meet too many cars. Look up at the distance there, there's Clare Island. I mean, look at that. It's just beyond spectacular. And again, I was in a good place here. What at this point we've about 100 and more, about 180 kilometers to go. And the car comes up, and a bit of banter, a bit of chat. And it's always good. Alan's superb driver, John, he did all the nutrition, all the he did things like Dior-Lite, for just trying to avoid cramps. I was forgetting to eat. You'd have a banana hanging out the window, or if one's drinking enough, it'd be bottles. So he'd making sure, I'd keep a log of, especially in the hot parts of the day, making sure that I was getting enough fluids on board, and handing out the odd treat, maybe a bar every now and again, and then you'd have a bit of chat, bit of banter about something, and again it's such a great distraction. You just while it's a solo event, the more it depends on look at I was in this to complete it. If I was in this to mad speed and break records, then maybe disruptions and distractions weren't the thing. But I just, as I said, for my first event, I wanted to finish. So anything that could, just sometimes if you're in not a good place, bit of a chat, bit of banter, it completely changed everything. So off I head up the road again, taking my drinks on board, and making my way towards Achill Island. So the next big, as I mentioned at the beginning, the next significant part of my of the route for me is that 3-hour segment on Achill Island. So now at Achill Island, going around the Atlantic Drive. More just beautiful scenery. I often do this route. I just think it's amazing around these ways. If you ever want to come to Achill, what I recommend is it's to take all of the interesting things in, I know Achill's full, but to take in a good many interesting things, you're looking at about a 79, 80 kilometer cycle with about 1,500 meters of climbing. It's not flat. Achill is up and down. Go early in the morning as well. The roads can get busy. This is some, I don't know, 7, 8 in the morning. A very nice time to experience Achill. So we go around here. In a way, it doesn't need any commentary. It's just beautiful. Way off in the distance there, that's Keem Bay. So my next next part of the route is to get over Minnon and over there to where that very last point. That's actually Keem Bay. So down a couple of hills here. These roads around here, I mean, I said it earlier on, there's always sheep, so you just got to be careful. Assume if you're going fast and you're going to come to a corner, assume there's sheep around the corner. So going downhill here, and then it goes up and it goes down and it goes up. It's never ending with the ups and downs in Achill, but just look at the scenery. Narrow roads, but just amazing. Those what look like clouds, I believe that's sea fog. It's called. It creeps in from the sea. When you're cycling along, like right now, it's probably warm, looking at the sky and that. But once you go into those pockets of fog, it gets cold all of a shot. So I have 2 layers on right now, and I have arm warmers on. So it's kind of a good tip, like this hour in the morning, have your arm warmers, you can pull them up or down. Probably conditions here are not typical for the west of Ireland, it's super warm, but still mornings, have your arm warmers, you can pull them up or down, and have tops. Then my tops are all zip tops, so depending on conditions you can open or close. So in the distance there, you can see the famous Minnon, certainly famous on this route. It's one of the highest points on Achill. It's not the highest point, but it's one of the highest points. You can probably just make out the telegraph antennas up there. That's where you have to cycle to. So as I go along here, I can see I'm freewheeling right now. I'm taking it nice and handy. I don't want to do too much right now, because I want to save it for Minnon. And it's only a half-hour climb. It's not crazy, but it's just such an intense climb. You just don't want to hurt yourself. So I'm taking it nice and handy along here. So I hit that climb, I'm fresh, get it out of the way, and then I make my way then towards Keem Bay. So yeah, freewheeling, taking it all in, nice and handy. Next stop, Minnon. So just give you a sense or flavour of Minnon, and the video does not bring across how steep it is. So I'm about 1/3 the way up. I've switched to my gravel bike because it's got a 42 gearing, and yeah, super slow. So the car is with me at the moment. See, I'm getting above the fog, but I told the car to go ahead because it's just so slow. So you can see John's shadow there. Yeah, you go up here, you go around that little left-hand corner, it gets super steep, and then you get to the top, and this rewards you, these views. Now we end up being kind of above the clouds and the fog. Here I am coming, and fair play, one of the main organisers, Brian Hyland, he was at the top, so he's doing a quick interview with me as I make the last couple of meters to the top of Minnon, and he actually even had a coffee for me waiting up here. So nice touch by the organisers just to be here at the top to greet the participants in the event. So I should have cycled faster and made them run first. But yeah, so I had to get up then and do the turnaround point and then get back down again. So the car is going to descend down Minnon, I think. So I've already gone ahead. I know it doesn't matter, but we didn't go together because it's just too dangerous. Minnon is a hill you have to respect while going up and down. If you're not doing this event, any event, or if you're just in Achill for a day and you want to cycle up and down Minnon, just be super careful. There can be weird crosswinds. So, you know, like right now, let's say you're descending and all is fine. Then you're gonna just hit this little flatlet, and you're gonna go to the right. And sometimes there's really strong winds blowing in a little valley here, and you could, you know, it really tugs on your front wheel. So be really careful. Be if you're not confident going down, just you know, be on your brakes. Just don't get to carry too much speed. Now, what it was, my scariest moment of the whole event occurred on the descent here. So at the top it was warm, and I had my cycling glasses on, and I came down here, and I was being a bit more cautious than normal. I was going down maybe, I don't know, 50 kilometers an hour, and I was going fine. Actually, I saw footage of Paul, one of the other competitors. He went through here much earlier. There was actually it was quite dark actually, so he had even more of a challenge. But at this point, I would have been descending fine and good visibility, and I know the road, so yeah, I can use corners coming up and stuff, so I could carry reasonable speed. But what happened to me was, I came down here, and as you can see now, we're coming near the fog, and I was fine at this point, but all of a sudden, just down somewhere around, you'll see actually the camera that much similar issue occurs. That in a split second almost, everything, see there, it's all fogging up. Well, that was even more extreme on my glasses. I couldn't see a thing, and that's not where you want to be. So I had to take one hand off the handlebars, and meanwhile I'm holding the brakes, trying to keep the speed down, and just had to get the glasses off quickly and just get them in the, I don't know where, put them in my pocket or something, or threw them somewhere. So yeah, bit of a scare. So it was an interesting one. I suppose just an example why the support team is not just about carrying your stuff, but right now I'm heading towards Keene Bay, and organisers kind of said that at certain times of day no cars were allowed. So I'm wondering, do I need to check in? What do I need to do? And the lads came up to me, and then of course I asked the question, what do I need to do? And they said, oh no, we've it all in order. We're gonna do that. We were gonna send a tech. So yeah, that was reassuring. Then I could just focus on just getting in and out of Keene Bay. So I'd say another reason why a good team is important is just to keep everything in order, and that you're not worrying about stuff. So we're now in a place called Furnace, very close to the end. I'm actually only, 20 kilometers from the end. There's a beautiful little sector here, but at this point, 630 kilometers in the legs. It was tough. And what time was it? Coming up 11, 12 o'clock in the day. It was getting warm again. In fact, it kind of got my head a bit. I won't say I struggled, but I kind of got a little bit cranky, I think, here. This was a really tough sector. In hindsight, maybe I should have, at certain points in Achill, maybe I shouldn't have dilly-dallied a bit and not got myself into a position where I'm in this furnace at a hot time of the day. It's just this was a bit relentless, up and down, sharp little climbs down, but corners to no speed. Next thing you're back up again. I found this particular one tough, and even though it was close to home, that's the thing with these events. If you're thinking, well, if I 100 kilometers home would be fine, no, I've seen people who stop close to home. It's just that they completely fall apart. So you gotta still concentrate. You're not there yet. So I knew that's what I kind of was here. I'm not there yet. I gotta get out of this little sector, and it is beautiful. There's absolutely no doubt about it. This is a wonderful sector that's near Newport. It's called the Furnace, and if you're in the area, definitely check it out. See there, I'm having to climb again. And actually John pointed out, he says, oh, your climbing style it's just wrong, you should get somebody to look at that. But my hands were hurting a bit. It just was a bit all over the place. And speaking of hands, a tip, not right here, but during the night when I was going through the fog, my gloves got a bit wet, and my hands were sore at that point. So I decided to change my gloves. I actually had a different brand, and the padding was slightly different. It was in a different area. I put on them gloves and it was like getting brand new hands. It was unbelievable, such comfort. So I didn't actually, that wasn't something I planned, but it's definitely a top tip. If you're doing a super long cycle, bring 2 sets of gloves or maybe more. Obviously they still have to fit, like, you know, whatever size, but look at the padding, and if it's off by a couple of millimeters, that means that the pressure point in your hand is going to be moved a couple of millimeters. So, you know, that area that's gone a bit sensitive to nerves, it's just going to move it away, and it brings huge relief. So I couldn't believe it, how comfortable I suddenly felt again. But at this point, everything is probably hurting. My climbing technique that John said was just all over the place. But look at those views again. Again, a beautiful little sector. But I was kind of cursing the evil genius behind the route because it was a tough little thing to do at this point. So here I'm coming near the finish line at stop. Obviously I didn't want to get knocked down by a car coming near the line, and part of the rules was we had to observe all the rules of the road, so I didn't want to be jumping stop signs and getting around, you know, cutting up inside the cars. Took my time towards the end here. We're approaching the finishing line, so all sorts of emotions in my head. Now my family, I mean, it's lovely to meet them at the line. They were here waving me on, and they actually had been on many points during the event. So here they all are here, waving me on, meeting Porrick, the main organizer. Yeah, it was, I got here. So lads are just going to park somewhere. And just back to the family, one of the, I suppose, features of this event is the fact that we had a tracker. So, you know, obviously for the organisers they could see where we were, but what was great fun for the kids and, you know, my wife and kids, is that they could track me, so they knew where I was. So numerous times during the day in so many places in like near Ballyhaunis and even Keene Bay, and met them as well over near I think near Ballinrobe. So the kids had great fun following Daddy on the map and following, you know, where the dot was, and then they were chasing me in the car. So, you know, it's part of an event like this. It's just getting other, like, the family involved was great. And then we're here at the finish line as well, and yeah, it just really was a brilliant end to what was a brilliant event. And yeah, there's the guys that do a bit of do an interview here. Yeah, you finish, I suppose. Yeah, it hasn't really sunk in yet, and even Dog Bailey's here as well. So that was my first ultra. As I said earlier, it was my goal was to complete, which I achieved. Time was something like 29 hours 37 minutes, I think. I just got a couple of thanks, like, fair play to fellow, you know, participants. They did really well. Thanks to the event organisers putting on an absolute spectacular event from start to finish. All the work they put into it, I know them, so I know how much work they put in. Unreal amount of work to put this together. All of the stuff, like even look at the stage there. Real thanks to, like, it's unbelievable. It wasn't a solo event, really. It was a team event. So Alan Hunt, the driver, who has, you know, he's just a friend for so many years, and just so thankful he could help out again, like he did as well a couple of years ago at Mizzen's Manor. And then John Gillerin, who last year did the Donegal 5, a similar event, the Super Time. So he was such a great guy to have in the car, because he knew exactly, you know, what these events were about, and sorted me out so many times with various things. So thanks to John as well. And obviously my wife and kids, it's not just the event here, but the prep and being gone cycling, and, you know, it's great to be able to do these things. So thanks very much to my wife Bertina and Katie and Aoife and Sarah and the dog Bailey. So yeah, all in all, fantastic event, great to have completed it, and, you know, memories I'll have for a lifetime.